And we're live.
What's up, gentlemen? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked on to the point with
Skip
and the King. You guys know where to find us by now. We have our favorite guy, Andrew Reece. Mr. Reece, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at The Reece Report. It's my new page where I'm going to be putting all my writing content, and I'm going to be starting videos very soon on a variety of topics, especially in 2020, which has been one of the craziest years I've ever experienced in my life.
Skip, where can they find you, my man?
Well, everyone knows by now, you can find my book on Amazon, Running the Point. Right now, you can find me most of all on Twitter at DougieJs. It's a lot of political content right now, a lot of trigger warnings, a lot of stuff going on in the world that I'm tweeting about. So check it out. And yeah, that's me.
You guys know where to find us right now, Skip and the King. You guys know it's on Facebook, on To The Point, Instagram, To The Point, YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us right now, To The Point. And to get to the point, my friend, wow. This whole world has changed. It's been a different dynamic. We're living in a different time right now with this whole COVID thing. We hope if you had it and you've defeated it, we salute you. If you've had it and you're going through it right now, we wish you nothing but a speedy recovery. And if you had a family member that you've lost towards this, we extend our condolences. I think, guys, like right now, us doing the social distancing, we're keeping away from each other. We're trying to keep well. It gives you some time to deal with some of the good things in life, the fine little things. Like, I'm sure, Andrew, I'm going to ask you, you have a young little buck right there. How do you feel? How's this affected you, my man?
Well, it's led to me spending a lot more time with him because we're at home. We can't go anywhere. And I'm at home 3 days a week from work. So, and you just try to protect him as best you can. But for me personally, it's brutal because all you're doing is working and coming home. And there's no sports to watch, which, has made me realize how much sports is a part of my life. And it's boring without it. So I'm glad to be doing this podcast. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. Skip, how's the COVID thing treating you, man? I miss seeing you. I want to give you a kiss on your head.
Oh boy. I'm getting by. So far, it hasn't really affected me or my family too badly, knock on wood. It's obviously, we've been over the losing your job, just staying at home. It drives you a little crazy. So I'm getting by. It's a little strange because I live in a house with a lot of roommates. It's not quite like a family. So we've got some roommates switching over. It kind of it makes it a little weird, but so far we're coping, just getting by, using this free time wisely as best we can, and working from home, yeah.
What's going on in the world today, Skip? What's going on in the States, my man?
Well, oh my God. So COVID, so COVID is one thing, right? There's a whole other aspect to the world that it's just making this year seem like the year of the apocalypse. I'll be honest. 2020 it's not right. What's going on in the world is not right. It's horrifying. Obviously, we have the enormous protests, the Black Lives Matter over George Floyd. And obviously, as a white man, I see what's going on in the world, and I know that just by existing, you're complicit. I mean, I work downtown. I work in a multiracial environment. I see just not even racism, but racialism every day. Like, just people sort of taking that racial attitude and sort of looking at it like, if you're a white guy, you're a cop. If you're black, you're obviously going to be oppressed. And even just being a supervisor at work and telling black people what to do, it gets construed in this whole different context, which you have to step back and see what you're doing. But I don't want to skip over Black Lives Matter, but there's so much more to this right now. What's going on in the States, it's almost bordering on a revolution. I'm not sure who's revolting. I think it might be the cops and Trump that's revolting more than the people themselves, like almost doing a fascist takeover. Pretty much America seems like it's dying, and it seems crazy to think that we're going to be focused on sports right now because there's so much going on in the world that just doesn't seem to make sports relevant at all. And all the energy I normally pour into my Raptors, my Blue Jays, like I'm just sitting on CNN 24 hours, not 24 hours a day, but like 6 or 7 hours a day, almost, like watching just what's going on. And even beyond that, even looking at Twitter, even looking at all the true reports of what's really happening on the ground, like it's a really bad situation over there, and I don't think it's getting better anytime soon. What do you guys think?
Julie, you're up.
Well, for me, it's this is not something that's just happened recently. It's been going on for a while. I think the George Floyd thing was very scary to see, but we're only talking about it because it was recorded, and what that tells me is that there are a lot more times that this is happening that we don't know about, and that's the scary part for me. I have Black family members in the States, so this hits home for me for sure. It scares the heck out of me. For me, I think what I think about, other than all the horrible things that are going on in this awful year that's been 2020, is I think about what Colin Kaepernick was trying to do and how people were to him. And I keep thinking to myself that he was right all along, and this guy basically gave up his career and a lot of his life to point this out. And only now are police officers following in his footsteps, instead of calling him names or saying that it's against the military or against the flag. Only now they're doing it in order to keep peace within the Black community. And I think that's really ironic and sad.
Well, even more than like Kaepernick. I mean, Kaepernick is one thing, but then you go back and just the whole history in the United States. Like this almost harkens back to the Civil War, like Rodney King, like Martin Luther King, all these people, like, and it's almost the same thing over again. And the crazy thing is, even when you look at the people who are dying in these protests, it's almost all Black men. And some of like even the cops that are dying or getting charged are still Black men, which makes me wonder, like there's something really weird going on.
There's a lot of angry people in the world right now. Skip.
Can I say something on this, guys?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Bring it in, Brian.
Okay, so Skip, you're a white guy. You get it. Reese, you have a Black family. You get it. I'm not Black. I'm brown. And growing up in the city of Toronto, okay, I've had a lot of run-ins with cops. Even now, being almost 40 years old, I still have run-ins with cops just for walking down the street. Okay, I've been told I was caught for having intercourse with a horse in BC, that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've been told all kinds of stupidity from them. I've had white girlfriends that I've been with where the cops will just really stop me. And I think what we need to do right now is we all need to come together right now and stand as a unit, stick together. Because you know what? Like, you guys might not have dealt with it. I've dealt with it. Like, my white friends used to tell me, don't jaywalk, I'll do it. Why? Because I'm white, they won't stop me. They realize, you guys realize, a lot of people realize this, and this needs to be brought to the forefront. I'm completely disappointed. I know Reese is going to get really upset right now. Watch his reaction. Watch his reaction. Your stupid ass president should do something about this. Right?
It's not going to make me mad. I agree.
Exactly. Well, I saw the anger on your face because I know you don't like this guy. Okay.
No, the problem is that it's not even that he's not going to do anything. It's that he wants this. They're saying he's basically taking power and he's not even going to leave the office in November, which is scary.
Yeah.
Loving this, and this only means the worst for us. But you know what, guys?
Let's have some fun, man.
Yeah.
But you know what's the greatest thing, man, with this whole COVID thing too? Like, bro, on Sundays I'm getting to watch 90 Day Fiance. I love that. I don't care what y'all say. Okay? But then again, the last couple of weeks, we got to watch The Last Dance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great documentary.
Drew, what do you think about that whole docuseries overall?
I was so happy when this came on. I was so happy. I needed a break. I needed something to watch other than the news. This documentary was great. It was about Michael Jordan. People think it was about the Bulls. This was about Michael Jordan and his impact on the Chicago Bulls. And I think there's a lot of players that don't understand that that's what this is about. And I thought it was a great documentary. And it highlighted who Michael Jordan was and what he was willing to do to win, which was anything, not only to the other team, but to his own teammates.
Exactly. Skip, what did you think about this?
Well, this was a little different for me because remember, I came to the NBA pretty late. I mean, first of all, I'm a little younger than you, but also right around, the time that MJ was winning titles, I was still predominantly a baseball fan. I mean, I watched Space Jam when I was a kid, but I didn't really follow the Bulls that closely. I think the first real memory of watching Jordan in regular games was when he was with the Wizards, which doesn't even count.
No.
So this was really interesting because don't get me wrong. I knew the Bulls won 6 straight titles, but I'm just saying I wasn't sitting there and watching the games.
Yeah.
So this was interesting just to see his whole career arc because sure, I knew the team was dominant in the 90s. I knew that, but I had no idea how he came up in the 80s, how he was this great star in the 80s on a team that wasn't very good or could never beat the Celtics or the Pistons. So it was really interesting to see that story arc and where he was the guy who couldn't win. He couldn't get over the hump. And then now to where he is now, where he's the ultimate guy who always got over the hump. So that was interesting for me. And also the stuff about his father, I actually didn't remember any of that stuff. The father or the gambling or all the conspiracy theories around him. So it was just a really interesting look back at his career. Again, I agree. It was about Jordan. It was also from Jordan's perspective, which is really important because there's a lot of stuff in there that could be spun a different way if you were interviewing different people, say Jerry Krause or Horace Grant or any number of people who might have seen things differently. So there were a few people who had an issue with how this all came out.
Hold on, Skip.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, can I tell you what I thought about the docuseries?
Oh yeah, jump in, yeah.
As somebody that's been watching now, I don't know about you, Drew, but I'm on my 5th decade now.
No, I watched everything when this happened. I knew before the dance came out.
Exactly. So we watched it growing up. We were right there looking at it every day. I thought this docuseries was absolutely freaking phenomenal. I love the way it was directed. I love the music. I love the way they broke down each chapter, all 10 chapters. Chapter 1, seeing Mike made me think of my brother. Episode 3, seeing the Rodman come in, which was his episode with the whole Prince soundtrack for the Michael Jordan mixtape. Episode 5, In Loving Memory of Kobe Bryant. Dude, I cried my eyes out. Episode 7 and 8, seeing the way they talked about Mike and his pops made me think the stuff Mike said about his pop, maybe I said about my pop. My pop passed away, right? And then seeing nine hit that bomb that he could have with Steve Kerr. We were thinking Steve Kerr was probably episode 6, but it actually was episode 9. And then seeing episode 10 with that final win that we all witnessed. Okay, now let me tell you guys something. This has to be great because for Mike to pull off the last 2 championships that he pulled off, he did it against Utah Jazz and against the one and only, which Andrew Reece says is the original Popovich, the Jerry Sloan, who was the first Chicago Bull, right? And I love the way they did that. And Jerry Sloan's comment, I'm sure he was proud. We are so sorry that he passed away recently. We would love to see that basketball mind. That guy's a genius. That guy's brilliant. Okay, so Drew, what did you think about the Jerry Sloan going in on The Last Dance?
Well, I actually didn't know that he was a Chicago Bull. So that was something that I learned. I only knew him as the Utah Jazz head coach in the pick and roll with Malone and Stockton. He was very funny when he was doing press conferences in his day. Just a quick example, when Jordan was sick, he didn't know he was sick in Game 6 when they won the title. And I thought it was very unfortunate when his career ended because of Deron Williams and a game, ironically, against the Chicago Bulls where they got into a fight at halftime and he walked out of the team and out of his career. So I thought that was pretty sad, but he was a great coach.
What do you think about Jerry Sloan, man?
Yeah, again, I don't have that much to say about him particular because I wasn't a huge fan in the 90s. And I guess he was around in the O's. But basically, just he was the original Greg Popovich. That's the main thing. It's just he presided over a really winning organization for a lot of years. Like you said, he had a little bit of dry humor in press conferences, like Pop does.
Love it.
So, yeah, I mean, it's sad that he's gone. Obviously, a great figure in history, in NBA history. But before my time for the most part.
If you got a question for Andrew? Speaking of the Last Dance?
Oh yeah, so we're gonna get back to the whole question of who came off well in the Last Dance. So there's a few people that were a little bit cheesed about how they came off. So Drew, do you have any opinions there?
Well, Scottie Pippen took a beating. Outside of the first episode when Jordan said, "You can't name me without Scottie Pippen," which was a great compliment, he got destroyed the rest of the episodes. It started with his, I believe it started with his contract dispute where he was making when he was not making any money at all. Then they talked about his coming out of the game early. When the Bulls had a chance to without Jordan, when Jordan retired, the Bulls had a chance to go up to make it 2-1. He came out of the game. Kukoc hit the winning shot. They talked about him missing free throws against Indiana and also delaying his surgery so that he wouldn't play the first 35 games of the third championship. He took a beating. He wasn't happy about it. It is his own volition. He did this to himself. And then he came on the documentary and said he would do it again. So he only looks bad because of his own doing. But yes, he did look bad in this, and they could have made him look a lot better. They did show him dunking on Ewing, but they also didn't show him, playing with an injury where he got elbowed in the head by Alonzo Mourning. I'll never forget the size of the ball in his head when he was playing. I will never forget that in my life. It was horrible, and he played through it, and that helped them win the third championship the second time around. So Pippen was a really, really important player, but it didn't seem that way on the Last Dance.
Yeah.
Who do you think came out the worst on this one, brother?
Well, I didn't think he came out particularly bad in the documentary, but I can understand why he was pissed off about it, and that's Horace Grant, who obviously got labeled the snitch for the Jordan Rules book. It's probably a fair accusation by Michael Jordan, but this is where we come back to the fact that it's Michael Jordan's documentary. So
Yes.
If he thinks that Horace Grant was the snitch, he's going to call Horace Grant the snitch. It doesn't really matter if he was or not. I mean, I imagine he did talk to the I forget his name, the reporter's name.
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith.
Yes.
I'm sure he did talk to Sam Smith, but whether he was the one who was the source for all the inside information, whether he was really crossing an invisible line where you don't talk about stuff that happens inside the locker room, I don't know how much of that is true. I don't know. I imagine he said some stuff, but yeah. So clearly MJ has a beef with him, and that came out in the documentary because it's MJ's documentary. If Horace Grant wants to push back, he's going to have to film his own documentary and explain why he's innocent, I guess, or why it doesn't matter that he talked. But anyway, so Brian, who did you think came out the worst in the doc?
Thank you, Skipper. I love you. Listen, I watched this live. My brother used to let me skip school to come home to watch this at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. Okay? And the one person that I thought came out, listen, man, I think everybody came out good. I don't know what all this like hoopla and whoop-de-doo about all this. I look bad, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen. I don't care about all that. If I were to pick someone that came out looking bad, I would have to say one of the Jerrys, which would be Krause. And Skip, basketball turned you on with Space Jam. You know Swackhammer. You know the guy that created the Monstars. Well, guess what? He's a model of Jerry Krause. I did not like the way Jerry Krause did that because when you think like Skip, who's the GM of Golden State?
I'm drawing a blank. Bob
Myers.
Yeah.
Bob Myers.
Bob Myers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at what he's doing. He's trying to pull these guys back together, trying to get everything going on. Krause didn't give a damn about that. Krause wanted his name on everything. He wanted to be imprinted like, I'm the man. This is what I'm doing. Oh, this is what's going on. That's what he did. And I did not like that because I thought that was absolutely horrible. You, as a GM, you do not take care of your players like that. You know what I mean? You think, we've worked together. Andrew, we've worked together. Have you seen, like, your bosses actually turn around and make you feel like nothing, but then you go right out there and prove them wrong? Krause did not want that to happen. Krause would not let it get bigger than him. He has that little guy mentality.
Hold on, Brian. I'm just going to cut you off for a second. You could say that, but you could also say that it was the players that went after Krause and made him feel like nothing, and they were constantly attacking him and belittling him in the locker room.
Yeah, when your boss is a jerk, you're gonna give it to him, right? That's what these guys do. You know,
I think
the
82-0 comment is what changed everything.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Krause had no intention of keeping this together, which he should have. And as like, if he was a general manager, even a smart owner, they would want to keep it together.
Yeah, I'll add a quick comment on that, Brian. I think that Jerry Reinsdorf deserves more blame for that than the actual GM, because they didn't want to pay. They didn't want to pay anybody. Charles Barkley said it best. They didn't want to pay anybody.
I'm just saying this is what I saw, and I seeing this going down, right? So now when you have a horrible general manager and you are the greatest player of all time, okay? A lot of people have been talking about what would happen if, oh, Drew, you ready? If LeBron was in Mike's era or if Mike was in LeBron's era, okay? Now, Skip, I got to ask you about that. What do you feel about that one?
Well, actually, funnily enough, going back and watching The Last Dance and watching a bit of the '98 finals that was being replayed on Sportsnet, it actually gave me a little bit of perspective when I was comparing the two players, because, as I said, I didn't really see Mike's prime up close and personal when it was happening. So I've always grown up with the legend of Michael Jordan. Like, he was the guy you needed. He was the best player of all time. It was impossible to argue that, people said. So actually going back and seeing some of these games made me kind of change my tune a little bit, because I realized that Mike and LeBron are really very different players, and you almost can't compare them in the same breath, just not in terms of greatness, but just in terms of style. Like so when you go back and you say Mike was the best of all time, he could win a game for you, that was largely as a shooter. I'm not saying he didn't do everything else in the game really, really well, but the way he was going to tear your heart out was by making that shot, making those big shots, putting up 30 points on you. I feel like LeBron is way more of a game manager. He goes out, he's basically a point guard, he sits there, and he does whatever needs to be done. If it's shooting, if it's driving, if it's kicking out, everything starts with the ball in his hands. That's what I'm getting at. There were a lot of plays in the '98 finals where Michael didn't seem to touch the ball. Obviously, he's getting double teamed. There's lots of reasons for that. And obviously, it's a totally different time, and the styles are totally different. So the games are moving a lot slower. They're gummier. There's not as much scoring. But I really think that's why you can't really compare the two, is because LeBron really just has a totally different style. Almost more like a Gretzky than a Lemieux, or I'm drawing a blank on who the best scorer of all time is. But
well, yeah, Lemieux and Gretzky's a good. If you want to do that, it's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Going, Skip. I want to hear this. I want to hear your blasphemy. Keep going, please.
Oh, you want to hear me? Okay. Yeah. So the thing is, the other thing about their careers is that they both had a really dominant decade. Everyone says MJ never lost in the 90s, but if you think about it, LeBron almost never lost in the 2010s. He lost in the finals a couple of years. He had a bad finals record, but he got to the finals every single year. And so he's really in a way that's pretty comparable to what MJ did. Although again, the East was worse, but the guys in the finals,
worse.
But the guys who were playing in the finals were not as good. Wait, did I say that right? The guys that LeBron were playing in the finals were better than the guys that MJ were playing in the finals. You can't compare Golden State to Utah. Utah's third best player is Jeff Hornacek, and
I don't think you can compare the Dallas Mavericks to any team Jordan faced either.
Well, the Mavs are a little bit on the lower end of that. But if you look at overall in the playoffs, I actually did some research on this, and there's some interesting stats out there where if you compare how they both did versus their regular season records in the playoffs, they were actually like Jordan basically won when his team was dominant. Like when the Bulls were the best team in the East, he won the finals. LeBron, he had a lot of times where he would be the third or the fourth seed and he would knock off a 1 seed or a 2 seed. Anyway, the bottom line is I think they're both great players. I think you almost can't really compare them. It's almost like comparing a pitcher to a hitter or, a quarterback to a running back. So they're very different players. They're both amazing. But I think watching The Last Dance actually pushed LeBron up my standings a little bit, and I think he really is in contention for being the best player of all time.
Wow. I don't even know how to respond to that. Wow. It did the opposite.
Ask him how he's going to respond to that, Skip. Ask him how he's going to respond to that.
Well, I'll make this quick because I know we're short on time, but I don't think this is a debate. I don't think it's been a debate before The Last Dance. I don't think it's a debate after The Last Dance. If you look at their primes, regular season, playoffs, finals performances, more difficult conference, there's no comparison. I'd love to go into more, but I mean, I don't think it's a debate. So
about that, buddy.
Yeah, I don't think it's a debate. So I'm not going to add anything more than that. I just don't think it's a debate. When we have more time and we do an episode, I'll talk more about it then.
Ryan, what do you think?
You want to know what I think? You really want to know what I think?
Quickly, but yeah.
3-6 as opposed to 6-0. Are you kidding me? What I see leadership-wise from Michael Jordan, it's just like my man Andrew Reece. Thank you, my brother, for touching on this. It's not a comparison. It's not a comparison. See, okay, I'm not dissing you, my man. You know I got nothing but love for you. But you grew up in a different time. You saw it differently. Back then, I'm telling you, as a guy that played ball in the early 90s, you can actually go out there. You'll drive. You'll put up a layup. Somebody's gonna elbow you right in your ribs. You're gonna think second twice, right? Before you try to go again. It's not gonna happen. Now, the other thing, I got into an argument with my cousin. I love my dude, but we got into a huge argument, a heated argument about this, because if you were to take LeBron and put him in the 80s and the 90s when Mike was playing, these guys were drinking 2-4 and smoking 3 cigarettes at halftime, right? Look at their conditioning. You think LeBron would be the physical beast that he is? Because let's give him his credit on how he is in his physical stature. We all know this guy's a phenomenal athlete. We all know this. But then if you were to take a guy at that time that's a phenomenal athlete as such as Mike and put him to the now with a personal nutritionist, a dietitian, a personal trainer, someone to come rub your back, someone come do this, all hours of the day, there's no comparison. Mike would absolutely destroy this league right now. LeBron would not be who he is. Like, you could talk about the guys back then. Like, Skip, when you said about Jeff Hornacek, let me tell you something. Go watch Jeff Hornacek fundamental tapes. You'll see this guy was very fundamental. A lot of these guys, Greg Ostertag, some of these guys on the Utah Jazz, some of these guys on the Phoenix Sun, like Phoenix Suns, like Andrew was thinking about with Barkley. Some of these guys on the Seattle Supersonics with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Some of these guys were there. Like, yeah, would they make it now with their physical stature back then? No. But if
Okay, hold on.
if they had the resources and the conditioning that the guys currently have, I think it would be a huge difference. And I'm honestly going to tell you right now, there is no question Mike would destroy everybody in this league right now because he had the mentality what Kobe was going after. What do you
Okay,
gotta say?
hang on. How many times did Mike play a team with 4 Hall of Famers on it?
Who cares?
I'm just saying. You can't compare Golden State to any of the teams that Mike played.
That's that. Golden State should have won it.
Yeah, but you can't compare Dallas to any team that Jordan beat. So it's
Exactly.
it's a very easy argument to have. I mean,
They're
Yeah, I mean,
easy, but
the only thing with that is Dallas was 1 year. That was he lost to Dallas. But Golden State was a lot more than 1 year.
they all and people. The one that people forget about is the Cleveland team that won 66 games that lost to the Orlando Magic, who have 0 Hall of Famers. So I mean,
Well, Dwight's gonna make it, but he should.
oh, I don't know about that one, but maybe.
Yeah, I think he will, but he's borderline.
Dwight had to join him. Guys, this debate can go on forever. Okay, you know what? I think now, I don't know, guys. Everybody out there, you let us know. Do you guys want us to cover this for a whole episode for you? Because I think we could get pretty deep. But Andrew, it was absolutely a pleasure seeing your beautiful face today and being able to talk ball with you.
Look forward to doing more, man.
Yeah, we're going to Skip. It was absolutely beautiful seeing you. You know I love you, right?
Oh, lots of love today. All right.
Yeah, you get a lot of love, man. Cute, man. But guys, we love you more than we love each other. Okay? So, on behalf of myself, Skip, and the one and only Mr.
Andrew Reece.
There you go. You guys know where to find him? Tell him again, bro. Tell him again.
Find me at the Reece Report on Facebook. It's my personal page.
All right. You guys, we hope you guys stay safe. We guys hope that with this whole pandemic that's going on, that we can all stay safe and keep each other safe and take care of your family and do what you got to do. Enjoy the little things in life, like us, for example, right now. More importantly, you guys let us know what you think. Let us know what topics you guys want us to cover. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and Skip.
Peace.
Good night.